Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of the Good Life Podcast. My name is Adrian Walker, and we have the pleasure of being joined today by TaWanna Anderson, who's going to be talking to us today about mental health and the importance that it plays in our everyday lives. But before we go into the conversation with her, I want to pass it off to my fabulous co-host, Miss Ebony.
Whoopi, thank you so much for the warm welcome.
Y'all know Ebony.
I'm just so I don't get fined. No kidding. Super excited. Good conversation, good topics, good life. I'm just happy to be here. Super excited that TaWanna is on for such an important topic, and she's been an advocate in our city and our region for mental health, and so we wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely excited to have you with us, TaWanna. And TaWanna, before we go into our discussion, maybe you can just start off our conversation by just telling our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I do appreciate that. Again, my name is TaWanna. I am from the Flint area. Mental health advocate for about three or 4 years now. I had a mental health breakdown and totally wrecked me and my family for a couple years. And I found, along with therapy, I found coping by helping other people. I felt like it was a lack in our community. We were not knowledgeable about the topic, and I just wanted to change that. With any conversation that I was able to have, I felt like y'all gonna get this work about mental health. We gonna learn about it as a group. So I started advocating. I created the Monumental Experience, which is a mental health expo that we have annually, and it brings all the community resources to one spot for free. And we have speakers, we have therapists, we have massage therapists, we do yoga, and it's all free again, and it's resources that's available in our community that most people don't know about. And then also, I was on the board of directors for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I recently, last Tuesday, I became the president of that organization.
Oh, congrats.
So if you weren't going to say something, I was going to
All right. I'm uber excited about that. Because so many people don't know about that organization and what they have to offer. So that's one of my main goals, is to get them out in the community so that people can see them, they can know them, and know what they have to offer. So definitely excited about this next venture.
I love it. So you're so humble in how you present yourself. But I love to say, like, you're the neighborhood's advocate for mental health, and you have really been strategic and intentional about making sure that this is a very comfortable conversation to have, that we can talk about mental health, and then also educating us. I know for me, I was really connected to it, just in how you were educating us on how to talk to people that may suffer from mental illness, or how to be careful in how you say things, or how to just really create a connection where people don't feel isolated about these things, like making it normal to have the conversation and to be okay to say, like, hey, like, this is a struggle of mine, and I don't have to hide in a corner about it. I can actually be comfortable with approaching it, or being comfortable with sharing it. So I personally commend you for that. And I've learned so much from your brand and your message. And so just digging right into mental health awareness month, what are some of the myths that we can debunk today about mental health awareness?
You said the myths?
Yeah, like, what are some of the things that we just don't have it right in assuming that?
I think a lot of the myths is about therapy. I think that's one of our main ones. People feel that they don't have to go to therapy. They feel like if they go to therapy, they're crazy. People will feel a certain way about them. And that's just not the case. You don't have to have a mental illness for therapy. You can go to therapy just if you need somebody to talk to. You got a lot of stuff going on at once and you don't know how to deal with it. They can help you with that. And even if you do have a mental illness, they can help you. If you don't know you have one, they can diagnose you. I just think there's such a bad thing with therapy. I remember when I was first going through my mental health breakdown, my family was like, "We don't go to therapy. We talk about it at home," and it was like, "No, I need some help. Like this, I love y'all and we praying, but I need somebody with the credentials to help me. So I think that's something that's in our community. People just they don't want to go to therapy and they're scared of it for some reason. Which I can understand. It can be it can be scary because it's work. I mean, it's not just go lay on the couch and it's a good ambiance. You're gonna deal with that trauma, and dealing with it is facing it and acknowledging it and handling it. So it is work, but it is so necessary for healing, which is very important.
Yeah, you can even further dig into that a little bit and kind of segment it out and specifically talk about that for me, like as an African American male and what it means to seek out therapy, right? Because growing up, we're always taught to, be strong, right? Never potentially show emotions, never let them see you sweat, right? Like you're kind of conditioned to carry so much and be able to execute in the midst of adversity that, again, so often internally you suffer. But again, this has just been the way of life. So rather than seeking out therapy, because therapy is potentially seen as a sign of weakness or just something that's not masculine, so many of us just go through our lives and it comes out in other areas of our lives. So, what would you say is maybe like a great starting point if someone is like, you know what, that's me. And, I don't even know where to begin. Like, where does someone start as it relates to seeking out mental health services?
I would say there's a lot of resources online. NAMI, NAMI.org. They definitely they have a lot of resources to get started. They have classes that teach you about disorders and things like that. If you have family members that's dealing with them, they also have peer-to-peer groups for people that have mental health disorders and they want to talk to other people. That have almost like AA meetings. There's therapy for Black girls. There's so many websites, but you can Google. You can start with Google and put in, therapy, and they can bring up all these different sites. Like even if you don't want to talk to anybody, there's Talkspace. You can text. You can text someone. It costs, but if you're not ready to make that face-to-face contact, word of mouth is what worked for me. I asked around. Hey, who'd you go to? Can you recommend somebody for me in our community? I say when looking for a therapist, be as serious as you are about your babysitter, because you serious about whoever's going to watch your baby. You the same for your mind. I need somebody that I know is good for my to watch over my mind and to help me in that area. So word of mouth definitely helps. And you can inbox somebody, hey, because I've seen now more people are talking about it. But the word of mouth definitely worked for me. And then there's Google, and then again there's the NAMI.org, and then there's therapyforblackgirls.com. You put in your information and what you're looking for, and then they give you therapists that lines up with what you're searching for.
And I've noticed too with NAMI in particular, like I'm currently in New Orleans and I literally passed by a NAMI site that's here in New Orleans. So the good thing about NAMI is that they're all over too. So even if you have to switch locations or switch cities or states, that's also something that's helpful with that organization too. I want to talk about, I was looking up some of the mental health statistics. And as I was looking them up, it just really made me think, which one statistic was the rate of mental health disorders doubles for those who have been to war or lived through a major disaster. And I was just thinking about, from COVID, which is a major disaster, to what we've been seeing with racial injustice, which, we have started to identify racism as a public health issue. And so when you have even those components, I was just thinking about people that may not have had mental health disorders prior to, or it may not have been as obvious or as visible, and that may have changed drastically over the course of this past year, because that's trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, or disaster on top of disaster on top of disaster. So what are some of the ways that, or what are some of the signs that someone may need to, or things that they may be experiencing that may lead them to wanting to seek help?
I would say the first sign is I'm noticing if someone is withdrawn, if they're normally outgoing, they're normally, the life of the party, and all of a sudden they want to sleep, they don't want to do anything, they just kind of lost their drive. I was at people overeating, not eating, shopping all the time. If people habits change, now somebody's just constantly swiping their card. It's shop therapy on another level. Like I know some people have like stomach problems, if they're starting to have different ailments, that they're not normally having. Did I say wanting to sleep all the time? Just not being that active. That's one of the main things, is people tend to withdraw when they're having issues.
Yeah, and
I think that's so helpful. I'm sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
No, you got it, Ebony. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's so helpful because some of us may be experiencing those things and just not even know, like, you've noticed a change in yourself, but you're not necessarily equating those changes to this may be something that is deeper or more serious than I thought, because my behaviors have changed, but I don't even know to look at those behavior changes as signs or flags that it could be something deeper. Go ahead, Adrian. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I think he touched on something that was really important, and it's just what we've been living through for like a little bit over a year as it relates to the pandemic, right? I'll be honest, like I was really excited about the prospect of coming home and being able to like work from home. I'm like, oh, yo, I get a chance to like watch ESPN, catch up on all my shows, work at my own pace, and still get the work done. And it was pretty cool for like the first couple of months. But I live by myself, right? Like I have a family in town, but I live by myself. And that isolation, it just took a toll mentally, right? Because I'm an extrovert. I love to be around people. I love that interaction.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to be a lot more proactive about, seeking out other ways to keep my mental active, right? So that came in the form of exercise, right? Whether it was in home or, running or walking outdoors, like that became a space for me that kind of, helped me work on my mental. But beyond COVID, I think even we all live these busy lives, right? You go from one thing to another. But I think that we never, if we're honest, we don't take enough time to stop and smell the roses, right? To say, you know what, I got to make sure that I fully arrive at where I'm going, right? So often we're just focused on the execution, and even in some conversations, right, that we never realize who we're sitting across from and the importance of, asking questions and that human to human interaction. But I think what's also so interesting is the role that these devices have played in your mental health. So I was just wondering if you can kind of, I know I've mentioned a lot as it relates to the pandemic, different coping things that you can go through to help on your mental, but also again, the role that digital era has kind of played in all of our mentals. If you can just touch on some of those, I think that would be really insightful for our listeners in terms of advice that they might consider as potentially they're dealing with maybe one of those things or maybe all three.
I think social media gives us a false sense of reality. It constantly puts us in a place of comparing. You having a crappy day and you get on and you see Joe Blow is in Vegas having a party and you might have $10 in your account. You can't go to Vegas. You start to feel like crap. So what I've known is you need to take breaks. If I'm feeling away or if I'm in bad spirits, I'll shut social media off. I won't get on it. I won't get on Facebook. I'll read a book. I'll find ways to entertain myself without social media. I think it does us a disservice when we're in a bad space. I mean, it's a great tool, but if you're in a bad space, if you're in a depression and you get on and it's so many things that can trigger you, like Mother's Day. People get on and they don't have their mother and they're seeing everybody excited about their mother. It puts them in a bad space. So I think we need to know when it's time to step back. Like, yes, it's a great tool. Yes, we need it for our business. Yes, we need it for that. But it's not really helping your mental health if it's you getting on there and you feeling bad. So I definitely think we need to take breaks and then sometimes only follow on accounts that uplift you or that's edifying, might not need to be on the shade room right now. You know what I mean? Or, a lot of those, I try to look for sites pages that I get on there and I can smile, or they giving me some words of affirmation, or they're telling me about yoga or exercising or things that's positive. So if you got to be on there, try to find positive things. But if not, if you can take a break and it don't affect your business or anything like that, I say definitely, step away from it, because it can make your depression worse or your anxiety worse, whatever you may be dealing with. Even if you don't have a diagnosis, sometimes getting on there, you can just be like, ugh, you get on there and you see everybody talking about something and you're just like, I don't want to deal with this today. Why is everybody in a crappy mood? It kind of puts you in one. So.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that is so true because
Mhm.
more recently I haven't been as active as
Mhm.
I once was on social media. Just because I think that you have to create certain barriers and boundaries so that there is a balance, so that you're not any tool can turn into a bad tool if it's used too much or used inappropriately, or if it has a place in your life that becomes addictive. And so to prevent that, that is a decision. Even with me having a business,
Mhm.
that maintenance, that self-maintenance. I won't be able to operate my business effectively if I'm not monitoring and really safeguarding those spaces. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I remember getting on social media sometimes, and whether it was my own insecurities or my own
Mhm.
thoughts concerning certain people in their lives, it would trigger something. And so I would often feel bad about unfollowing them or muting them until I started to understand that it's okay, because it is a self-care mechanism. Like, you're managing yourself and you're putting the things in place that will make you happy or that will make you whole and won't put you in that place of comparison all the time. Like, I literally had to unfollow someone because everyone else kept comparing us, and everyone else was comparing us so much to the point where it started to bother me. And then I'm comparing us, and I just had to love the person, but I had to unfollow them for my own sanity. So I'm so glad that you said that. I do want to ask this because I feel like we're having more of the conversations now, but I feel like we're still so far behind in incorporating the two worlds. So there's
Mhm.
faith and mental health, or there's
Yeah.
church and mental health. And just can you just share in your experience, like, where we can be better at merging those two worlds together? Because I know sometimes people feel like they can't do church and therapy, or they can't do prayer and therapy, or they can't talk to a minister that can help them and seek professional services or professional advice. And you specifically have a shirt that says, I have Jesus and a therapist. So can
Yeah.
you enlighten us on that area?
I know, and that's it's such a tough spot, because I know what made me want to, create. I had created an event called Mental Health in the Church because I had someone tell me that I wasn't praying the right things, and that's why God hadn't healed me from my disorder. And it kind of crushed me a little bit because I'm like, I know Jesus, and we cool. You know what I mean? It's not my time yet. When it's time for me to be healed, He'll heal me, and I definitely believe that. But I think we have to have those conversations in the church. That it's okay. God created therapists, He created medicine. You are not weak because you have to take medicine. If you have cancer, you go to the cancer doctor, you get chemo. If your leg is broke, you go to the doctor, you get the crutch. If your mind is messed up, you go to the doctor and get the medicine what I'm saying? That don't mean that your faith is weak, because you have to take medicine. I feel like God created those things for us. I think we think praying and then it's just this, I don't want to say superficial, but you just think, oh my God, I prayed and I'm going to be healed. Yeah, you prayed and then He sent Dr. So-and-so to you that gave you free services and made it so easy for you. That's God when it's not forced and it just flows, so I just feel like people have to understand that, God, He created therapists, He created the medications that you may have to take for your mental health. And I think having the conversations openly in church, I know my pastor, he talks about it. Go get help. I can't help you in that area. I'm not knowledgeable in that area. And I think more churches need to incorporate maybe a mental health ministry. We were talking about that before COVID hit, actually creating a team, with, a clinician and, advocate, to help the members where they can, hey, this is private. You can talk about your mental health here. It's a safe place. So I think, getting those ministries in the church and having the conversation so that they are more comfortable to be able to be open and talk about it. Pray, get down at the altar and pray and get up and go call your therapist, okay? Father, hey.
And that was
him.
okay.
Come on. Something else.
Just get there, okay?
Yes, please, however you need to.
Tawna, to kind of go off of that, something else that I think about as it relates to, our leaders, especially our pastor, but just something that we experience, I think, in our everyday life is how do you find that work-life balance, right? Because I think mentally that can take a toll on you, right? I look at for instance, our pastor, he was our first guest on this podcast, right? He's a pastor and everything that comes along with that. But, he also is the president of a business here in town. So it's like, pastor, when do you sleep? And then just kind of localizing that to, our parishioners and just us on the line, right? Whether you're a mom or you have all of these meetings going on, we're always talking about the importance of, hard work and where that will get you in life, right? Like we're all from Flint, right? So we love to brag about our blue collar DNA, right? Like hard work is who we are. And while that's cool, and we've definitely, have seen some progress, I think, again, it takes a toll and often mentally, right? It comes out in other areas, whether it's, at home, whether it's drinking, like you mentioned, eating, whatever that other thing is, that's that coping mechanism. It's often not a healthy one, right? So can you just talk a little bit about approaches to, maybe how do you approach your work-life balance? And again, being a mom, being involved in NAMI, being involved in so much, I think that's just, if we're honest, I think it's something that a lot of us, we battle on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely. I'm not 100% good in that area. But what I have found is I have to say no a lot. If it don't line up with, your purpose, what you got going on, your household, you have to say no. And that's hard for me because I don't like to tell people no. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And then I'd be like anxious because I got too much on my plate.
Yeah, but I think we have to normalize that though, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to say no, right? And let that be the end of a sentence.
Right. Without an explanation. Yeah. But what works for me is to switch from work life to home life. I try to, when I get off work and come home, I try to sit in my bed for like 20 minutes, just like a reset, Whether that's just laying there, or if I read a little book or something, or sometimes I sit in silence. That 20 minutes, like, to just reset and click into my mommy gear. On Wednesday is my do nothing day. Everybody in my family know I don't do anything on Wednesdays. I go to work because I have to pay my bills, but I go to work on Wednesday. When I get off, that's it. I don't cook dinner. I don't. We gon' DoorDash, whatever, or y'all make a day, make a sandwich, whatever you need to do. But I have set that, and that's Wednesday is my day. People like, can you do this on Wednesday? No, not on Wednesday. Can you Thursday? I think setting a day that's just for you, where if that's you want to lay in the bed and watch TV, you want to eat your snacks and play on your laptop, have a day where it's just all about you and not about work. Not checking your work emails, your work phone, nothing. And that has helped me out a lot. People be upset, but again, it's if I'm not healed, I can't take care of my children. I can't work. I can't, so I have to make sure I'm taking care of myself, and also therapy appointments, exercise, getting that time in. People don't understand the importance of working out. I work out and I'm still thick. Okay. But it's because I work out for my mental health. Like, I don't even work out to lose weight anymore. I work out so that I can be in my right mind, because some days it's rough, but just a couple minutes a day, people don't understand how serious that is, that it can help your mental health. They say it's the best medicine, and I'm a witness. So getting you a workout regimen, getting you a day, I mean, it ain't got to be a whole, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours. No, go 30, 20 minutes, walk on the treadmill, or, whatever you can do, for your body. But you don't need a whole bunch of time. I think people think you need to be there all day, but just enough time to get that mind, get that up off you, So those are the things that help me, and to set my boundaries, and to work-life balance the little bit that I do have.
Look, we all struggle with that. I know one thing that has really helped my mind and my thought process is especially when you talk about like how we were raised, and Adrian spoke about it earlier, but this grit and this grind that never stops, like we pride ourselves on that, but we don't always like peel the layers back to say, okay, that's, it sounds good, but that also is like a recipe for burnout, like, let's just be clear if there isn't balance. And so one thing that God shared with me about self-care, because even growing up in church, transparently speaking, my parents were in full-fledged ministry, always going. My dad was in community, always going for the community, always going for the church. But I also saw how that impacted their health sometimes, or how they ran to the ground when they got home, and then maybe not even had enough energy for themselves. And so something that God shared with me is just self-care and self-management is stewardship, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for being good stewards, and that's over ourselves first before we can impact anyone else. And if, we say it all the time, but it's so true. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but imagine if you changed your thought process and actually looked at maintaining yourself as stewardship, as an act of worship, to show like, God, look, I am taking care of myself, this temple that you gave me, this body that you gave me, and then I can give people even more of me. I can give a better version of myself. And so that's something that I've been really trying to be more adamant about in the past year or so, just looking at it as like, this is not a suggestion, this is actually a requirement. And so taking that dedicated time, I don't care if it's like, I just want to turn the music up really loud and disconnect from everything and everybody. And who knows what genre may play, whatever my soul desires. Because I'm balanced, okay?
Yes.
Don't push me. But whatever that looks like, that could be as simple as going somewhere or going to your favorite restaurant just to treat yourself, or taking a bath with the, self-care and self-management is so essential for us. And it is stewardship. And so I think sometimes, especially being Christians, And in the tradition of faith, and, or, you know, we haven't always been taught that. We've been taught to give instead of maintain and manage so we can give better and more efficient, more effectively. But
I'm gonna have to stand up. I'm gonna have to stand up.
And I think to piggyback off that, everybody's self-care isn't the same. Just because somebody want to do bath bombs and candles, that may not be your thing. Reading a book and sitting on the porch may be self-care for you, or going to the grocery store might be self-care for somebody. That might be their peace of mind. So I think it's stop trying to put self-care in a box and that it look like it's cookie cutter, and it's no. Everybody's self-care look different. You got to figure out what works best for you and do that.
That's so good. I do have something here.
I was just getting to that.
Come on, bring us in. I'll display the product. You go ahead. I'll be the Vanna White to your subject.
Well, again, I'm gonna be quick because Tawna, when we were talking earlier, one of the things that you mentioned was that you were an author. So I want you to talk a little bit about, you know, your journey into becoming an author, and just again about your book as well.
Yeah, so I wrote a book called Anxiety Is Not Me. It's 52 tips to help deal with anxiety and depression. And it came about because I was writing posts on Instagram. I would randomly write just tips, you know, whatever I was feeling that day. If it was something that came on my heart, I would just make a post about it. And my mom was like, why don't you put that in the book, you know, so that people can have it. They don't have to go back through your Instagram and find this. And so it kind of came up that way. So I kind of stopped posting on Instagram, and then I just started writing them out in the book. And it was a rough process, the book writing process, because you be thinking you got it all together, and the editor throw it back at you with all that red ink on it, and you like,
that editor will keep you humble, okay?
How dare you? You know. But the book it did amazing, and for me it wasn't about the money at all. It was definitely about people just having access to something that can help them when they're going through it. It's a small book, fit in your purse or big bag or whatever, so that if you're in a panic attack or you're having some anxiety or about a depression, you can open it up and, you know, you can get your tips there. And I've been getting great reviews from it. I'm just so thankful that something that people don't normally talk about, we talking about it, and I got a little bit to do with it, you know. So the book is amazing.
No. Like, I literally read some of the tips, and again, you don't know until you know. Mm-hmm. And one night I was reading through the book, and one of the tips was, you know what, you need to listen to meditation music or something like. Mm-hmm. I turned it on and I was asleep within 5 minutes. Like, but I never knew, child. I looked up and was just on the couch gone. Okay. Like, time absolutely left me, but there are some very, very helpful tools, even some natural remedies for anxiety, or, you know, to help protect your mental health. I particularly love the journal because even just looking at the front of it, like, I feel like it's my accountability. Like, are you minding your mental? And then yes, it's a literal reminder. Like, when I see this, or even when I see you on social media or wherever we connect, like, you have made such an imprint on our community and mental health, that when we look at your products, when we look at you, like, there is an accountability that you give us, even when you aren't saying anything. Like, are you really minding your mental? Are you really taking care of yourself? So I know I speak for a lot of people that will be watching, and just in general, like, we appreciate the gift that you are to our community, because again, you're taking the stigma away from a topic that is truly, like, saving the lives of people and making people allowing people to have a safe space. Even I'm in the Facebook group and everything, even right down to just being able to be comfortable enough where if somebody is having a bad day, or not even being scared to talk about, I have a mental health issue, like, it shouldn't be this taboo or this bad thing. We have to normalize that in order for people to feel safe and become better. So I just, we'll make sure that the information is posted so people can support, because I do believe that it's a tool that more people can benefit from.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We definitely mind our mental, okay?
I'll be like, oh, she in my brain. She in my brain.
Yeah. Gotta take care of it.
So TaWanna, we've really appreciated the conversation tonight. I think you've provided some amazing insight into mental health, into the way that you approach it, and just resources that are out there for our viewers to tap into. But before we close out, I wanted to provide you an opportunity for maybe any last words that you may want to share with any of our viewers as it relates to mental health.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for allowing me to be on this platform with you guys. All I want to say is, don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. There's so many people that are dealing with mental health issues, diagnosed and undiagnosed. There's so many resources out here. Just tell somebody. Just talk to someone. I know people that have attempted to commit suicide, people that has done it, and it's just, I just think they felt that they didn't have anyone, and I just want anyone that's listening to know that people love you, people care about you. Whatever your mind is telling you regarding that, it is false. You are so important. You are amazing. You are loved and you are wanted on this earth. God created you for a purpose and on purpose, and He is the one that says when it's time for you to be done on this earth, not you, not voices, not your circumstances. So please don't make any final decisions off of the temporary emotions. Please seek help. That's it. That's what's on my heart. It's just reach out to someone and let them know what you're dealing with, no matter what it is. They won't look at you crazy. They'll get you help. And if you need to call 911, if you don't want to tell your family, 911 will definitely help you. They will come out ASAP. So please take care of yourself always and get help.
No, that's awesome, TaWanna. Again, thank you for joining us. We commend you for your work, and we hope to definitely have you back on the podcast. If you continue to write books, you definitely got to let us know about that as well.
Right. When we put me to work.
We're waiting for volume 2, to be precise.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna in a minute.
The Lord just put that in our spirit to say that.
Right,
So.
just jump right on in.
You see my jerk.
So again, everybody, we want to thank TaWanna Anderson for joining us today to talk to us about mental health and the importance that it plays in our everyday lives. We ask you to continue to stay tuned in to our podcast as we look to bring you relevant information that you can apply to your everyday life. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.